fear is false evidence appearing real. I didn't know my biological father until I was in my 30s. Los Angeles Raiders are having tryouts, and I was like,
I just cut out my hair.
I did a lot of things. I tried a lot. I know.
I love it.
Like the space,
Like a space shuttle.
Flight attendant. That is not interesting to me.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Try acting. How am I going to get my SAG card? I acted my off. The script supervisor, like, what's that? Because of the movies that I've done and my reputation, I'm the script supervisor on training day. I ain't quitting this. I'm going.
You knew you were creating something special, it sounds like.
The show was like a mega hit.
Today on the podcast, we are talking about what happens when you decide to become the absolute director of your own life. My guest is the phenomenal Nicole Rubio, who has directed massive television hits like Grey's Anatomy, Station 19, Chicago Med, Fire Country, Sheriff Country, and Chicago PD, just to name a few. Now I have had the absolute privilege of watching Nicole work firsthand and the immense respect she commands on set, paired with the effortless ease in which she navigates this high-stakes industry. It is a masterclass to witness. She is a powerhouse go-getter who excels at everything she puts her mind to. And today we are diving into her fascinating journey from the completely different roles she navigated before Hollywood to the director's chair. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
That is amazing.
Why? Why?
Oh no, thank you. It's so good to be here, but that was
Is it weird to hear that about yourself? I get, it's you get a lot of people that aren't used to being interviewed on the show and aren't used to having things like that said to them. So, but I'm glad that you heard it, and I'm glad that you received it, because it's true.
You.
Of course. I'm so happy to have you here, Nicole. I think you are such a force ever since the first time you directed on Station 19. And I even just heard a little bit of your backstory, which was coming from being a script supervisor. You were Paramedic Nicole on Grey's Anatomy. And then someone else had said, oh, she also was a cheerleader for a professional sports team. And I was like, what? Who is this woman? Like, I need to know more about her. But also how you commanded a set. When you came on and directed Station 19, you were so inspiring to watch. You knew what you wanted, and no one walked all over you. I've seen it a lot with female directors. Unfortunately, it happens. The crews, someone steps in, they show any sign of misstep or weakness, and they just get steamrolled. And you just carry yourself with such confidence. And it's just so inspiring. So I am so excited to have you on the show, so excited to interview, and just for you to share your story with everyone in your journey and how you are the woman you are, because it is so impressive. I like to start with where you're born. Where are you born in the world?
First of all, thank you for that generous introduction.
Of course. It's true. It's true.
And I'm so glad that we had some time to spend together because, you kind of wrapped all that up into a nice little bow or package, and, it was fantastic. So thank you for that. Anyway, I was born in Columbia, South Carolina.
And how long did you live in Columbia, South Carolina?
All of that is a little complicated, but we moved to California when I was about 3 years old, 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
So my grandmother still lived there until she was 93 years old when she passed.
Oh,
yeah, and I would go back. I remember there was an earthquake that we had in California one time. I went back to live with my grandmother. And but I've lived in California mostly all of my life.
Okay.
Besides living abroad, living in Iran and living in Saudi Arabia and going to private boarding school in Egypt.
I'm so excited that you want to talk about it, because when you told me the story, I was like, wait, what?
I know.
I wish that we could have recorded that conversation we had in the car on the way. I shadowed you on Fire Country, and every morning we'd get to have conversations in the car.
It was fantastic. So, that was a luxury because I know a lot of directors, they like to, go to work in peace and quiet or just the driver or whatever. Yeah. But it was you. And I do remember my first time on Station 19. You told me the most hilarious thing. It was just like a casual conversation. And we were talking about cable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you remember that? And you were like,
I do.
I don't have cable. I get, what? You don't have cable? I can't afford cable. It was just like, I like her. She's a real human being, and no shame.
No.
It was just like, listen, I am doing something with my money, and I don't have cable. Maybe one day, but now look at you. But
now I've got cable.
but that we shared so many. Thank God we had a driver that was not into all of our conversations, because we talked about everything.
Yeah, we
every morning we talked about everything, including what we were getting ready to shoot. So I treasure all those memories of driving to work with you. fantastic. It used to be like, no, Nicole, take the car yourself. No, get in here.
Yeah.
Like the umbrellas that was raining times. And I was like, get in my trailer. Come on over here. So we cultivated this great relationship. It was fantastic.
It was very special. It really was. And I cherish every single one of those conversations. But you did tell me a lot about growing up. And I think it was just so fascinating because it's so unique. At least from my perspective, I was like, what? So remind me what your father did. And you said what your mother and father did for their jobs.
In a sense, my father was in the Air Force. Yeah, see, that's where it's complicated.
That's where I'm like, yeah.
Because my biological father met my mom.
In the Air Force.
And had me. My mom had me.
Yeah.
And he didn't know. I don't want to say like I'm denying him.
Yeah.
When my father met my mother and they got married, then my father, Joe, adopted me, gave me his last name, and I didn't meet my biological father. We can go into that like later, maybe open that nut.
Yeah. You also don't have to if he feels uncomfortable. We can just refer to
But
Joe
I want to give them both
father. The credit, the
acknowledgement.
The acknowledgement. Okay.
I didn't know my biological father until I was in my 30s. My father, Joe, he was in the Air Force. The reason we traveled a lot is because he worked for Northrop Grumman Aircraft. And he got jobs that took him overseas. It took him to Iran. We lived in Tehran. And then he got another assignment, which took us to Saudi Arabia. So he was teaching the Royal Saudi Air Force how to maintain their airplanes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then my mom was a homemaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a full-time job.
Which is a full-time job.
Did your father ever get you into like aircrafts? Did you ever have a fascination or a passion for them, I guess is the word I'm thinking of?
I think I did.
Yeah.
Because when we got back to the United States after I graduated high school. So let me back up.
Yeah.
So when we were in Saudi, I couldn't go to school in Saudi Arabia.
Just so fascinating. Okay, elaborate on this.
No one can, though.
Yes.
No one can.
So what is the rule that it was?
It's like so we lived on a cantonment, which is like not an Air Force base.
Okay.
But similar to a base.
Okay.
Where you had to have privileges to get on.
Okay.
So they told us, though, when we were in the States before we got ready to move, you have to pick a school to go to. So there's the options were Switzerland, Thessaloniki, Greece, and Alexandria, Egypt.
It's pretty good options.
So I know, pretty good options. So we wrote all three schools, and I really wanted to go to Greece for some reason, Alexandria, Egypt, they wrote me back really quickly, the fastest, and said, come on, we'll take her. So it was a boarding school there. It was a private boarding school at night, like an international school during the day. So all the kids would come, like all the Egyptians, like the private boarding school part, there were people from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Is Jeddah a location?
Yeah, Jeddah is in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
All the kids that went to their parents were also Raytheon, the company Raytheon.
Yeah. Oh,
like
I know that one.
All of those people had their kids there, either there or Greece.
And that's so interesting because you can't go to school. You're just not allowed to go to school in Saudi Arabia.
I think it's because, listen, an 8th grader, you know how much trouble they would kind of get into. Like, just because they're just like teenagers and, they need guidance. And so it was told that if you have kids, 8th grade or beyond, they have to go to a boarding school.
Wow.
And so I remember my father, Joe, dropped me off in Egypt, and it was just like I was so mad because I was a cheerleader in high school, gymnastics, tennis.
What?
I was like, there's none of that over here. I was just like, but there was.
Oh, there was. I was going to say.
There wasn't gymnastics, but there was tennis, and I took that up. And, and there was like the other kids that were there. They were in the same boat. I wasn't alone. It wasn't just like he dumped me off there, and then I had nobody to relate to. One of my best friends, Nancy, her dad worked for Raytheon.
Okay.
And there was another guy. This is Facebook has hooked up a lot of people who I would say like back then in high school after we graduated, we all kind of lost touch. I knew where she was. She was in Victorville.
California?
Yeah.
Look at that. Okay. Sorry.
I know. And then there was another guy, John Owler.
Yeah.
And Hala. Hala was one of my good friends too. She was younger than me, but we all kind of lost touch after high school. But we kind of refound each other on Facebook after.
I love that.
And we had a little mini reunion in Venice Beach. And it was really cool because then we're all adults now. And
You have to form such a bond. I've always loved the idea of boarding schools because basically just get to hang out with a bunch of kids. And I understand some people view it as like parents, not, but I never saw it as that. I saw it as like, this is so cool. Just a bunch of kids get to act like you're sleeping in the same place and you're hanging out. And obviously not everyone's had a great experience, but it sounds like you had a phenomenal experience.
I had a phenomenal experience.
Wow.
It was the first, I would say, half year because I was a junior.
Okay.
And I was kind of late getting there. So it was like from September to Christmas was just like nonstop getting to know everybody, getting to know the area. So the good thing about being with a group of Americans when you're there is you can go to the American consulate.
Okay.
And we like made friends with some of the Marines there. We would go over there during like visiting hours and we would have like stuff that we missed, Snicker bars. I know, Orange Crush, Lay's potato chips. I mean, it was stuff that you cannot get in Egypt.
How interesting, but you can get it at the consulate.
You could get it at the consulate because they had all of that stuff shipped over. And it was like, oh my God, American food.
Oh
so
my gosh.
That was really cool. But then we get the other side is just being out with, like on the weekend, some of the Marines, we felt safe, when some of the ships would come, like the USS Enterprise. It was amazing.
What?
Yes. Some of those carriers, those aircraft carriers, we get to go on. We got tours. It was an amazing upbringing that just doesn't happen these days. Just doesn't, because all the wars and just, I'm so fortunate to have lived that life. And, like I said, at first, it was just sort of taking me from my cheerleading days and my, gymnastics and all that. But then on the other side, it's like invaluable growing experience.
You grew so much, I'm assuming, and opened your eyes to so much.
100%. Like when I came back. So over there, they didn't have drinking laws. Like we could go over there. We can party and drink if we wanted to.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Get it out of your system.
I did. So
Good.
I didn't drink like a lot, but by the time I got back to the States and all of my friends were graduating from high school, we had graduated. Yeah. Let's go party. I was like, I already did that. I already went to bars. I already had that life, Yeah. But what I want to know now is like what jobs I want. I enrolled in El Camino College and well, before then it was Antelope Valley College. I was going to be a physical therapist. So I know.
Okay, so take it back. When you're in boarding school, do you have a certain, is it different than normal schools? Did you have a certain thing that you had to focus on schooling wise when you were there? Did you know what you wanted to do, or at least think about what you wanted to do for your career when you were at boarding school, or no?
I think so. In my senior year, I would say like I wanted to be a physical therapist. So
okay. So you knew.
Then I knew when I got back to the States, I knew the classes that I had to take and everything. But I would say in school, I took French, I took Arabic. When you got back to the States, no one spoke French. No one speaks Arabic. So I kind of forgot most of it.
I was going to say, do you speak any of it still?
The majority of it I did, and especially nobody spoke Arabic.
But what a great gift to be able to learn a bunch of different languages too.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you started taking lessons now, you probably could pick it up pretty fast because you learned it at such a young age,
Yeah.
So when did you know you wanted to be a physical therapist though? Like what sparked that? Because I feel like you're around the Air Force and the military to some extent. It's interesting that you're like, you didn't want to be in the military at all? No desire. So the physical therapist though. So why physical therapy?
I mean, I think because I was athletic, learning about the human body and, how to maintain it and, all the positive strengths that we have. And once you exercise, like, why is this hurting or that or this, the other? But I remember taking an anatomy class. And one of my first things they showed me was cadaver.
Yeah. Like a human?
A human, yeah. Human cadaver.
Yeah.
And they did like a brain craniotomy and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe that's not what I want to do.
That's pretty.
Right then and there, I was like, no.
That's intense
That's intense.
Physical therapy.
Yeah. So it's like so I think you start from the top.
Yeah.
You start from the brain and you work your way down. Oh, wow. Because you have to know what.
And actually see it, not just look at it in a book. I mean, it makes sense. But yes, that would be pretty shocking. Wow. And so the first time you did that, was that when you said you went to El Camino?
Was that El Camino? No, that was AV College.
Okay.
That was AV College. And then I just pivoted and said, no, I can't do that. But I did have hobbies. I did have like my dance classes and I kept up with my tennis and stuff. But then I had to pivot. And then, backing up, when I was in Saudi Arabia in the summertime and Christmas is when I went to Saudi. So, the school was closed for 3 weeks. So I had to go home for Christmas, Saudi. I think it was like during the summers, I got a job at Northrop.
So you actually worked for the company.
So I worked for the company. And then I decided, like, when I got back to the States, he's like, my career is just, I did a lot of things. I tried a lot. I know.
I love it.
I tried a lot of things. So I knew when I got back to the States, I already had worked for like Northrop. So having that experience when in Palmdale, there's Lockheed Martin in Palmdale.
I didn't realize
There's
that.
Rockwell International.
Oh, wow.
There was Northrop. So all of the aircraft companies were where I lived in Lancaster. 15-minute drive from Lancaster to Palmdale. They're all right there. And one day when you go out and, see your family out there, just go to like Avenue K or just look up Northrop Grumman. It's right on, I think that's Sierra Highway.
Oh, I've definitely passed it. I can't even know how many times.
So I got a job at Rockwell.
And what were you doing? What was the job?
I was tracking all the parts.
Okay.
So I worked on the space shuttle. I know.
Did that feel so cool just to be a part of that? Like getting inside scoop and knowing what was going on?
The Challenger.
What?
The Columbia. I was there like at the beginning. I think we rolled out the Challenger. We rolled it out, which means tracking all the parts for the shuttle, getting all the parts. That was my job, along with like hundreds of other people that worked there.
Yeah.
And then they had these big, I guess, buildings with big doors. When they open, it's amazing.
Is it like a set? Is it like a stage door almost?
That one door, two doors.
Yeah.
Pull back and there's like a big aircraft. So they would get the parts and they would bring them over there and you just assemble the whole thing. Remind me, I have a picture of like a long, long time ago standing in front of the shuttle with like 50 other people. Wow.
And this was a shuttle. This was like the space shuttle. I know, I'm trying to comprehend. My brain is like,
it's like hard to comprehend because it's like a big giant aircraft, but it flies up into space.
Wow.
I know.
See, but that shocks me that you were that close to it and we're like, no, I don't want to, because you pivoted again. So that's what's so interesting. So you liked it and loved it, but you were like, the
reason why I pivoted is because I felt like I'm way too creative to be sitting at a desk for 30 years. Tracking some parts. Now, I could have moved up, said I don't want to track parts anymore. Do you have other openings? Like maybe I could move. But what was I moving up to? I was still going to be coming to work, working for an aircraft company for the rest of my life. And I was like, that is not interesting to me. Yeah. I can't do it.
No, that makes sense. But you saw that. So you said you were creative. Did you always know you were creative before that?
Yeah.
In what ways were you creative?
So there was a guy when we lived in Iran. It was one of my dad's friends. He did this whole Foley scene. And Foley is, okay, so in movies and TV shows, they have things like the Foley artist, if someone's eating dinner and there's a lot of noise over the forks and things like that. So the Foley artist will add that.
Yeah.
Well, or like cutting a steak or the clinking sound, the Foley artist will add that.
Yeah.
If there's like someone pouring wine, a Foley artist will pour the wine and make we need a better sound to make the wine pour. So that's what a Foley artist would do. So, but he had this whole thing and I'll never forget. It was like, he did this like army thing where the plane crashed. And by the way, it was just sounds. Yeah. Well, he just told us a whole story, but he did all the sounds like, the person on the beach, give me some sand. And he would just create this whole thing. And then your mind would be like, you did all of this with your voice and some water sound, him being washed up on the beach and the waves.
And he just did it with his own voice, basically. I mean, he had some tools, I'm assuming, but wow. Foley artists are fascinating when you see those happen. Because also, too, it's never what you think, right? Sometimes it's like, oh, the voice we use for a lion was the sound of a garbage disposal. That's not what it is. But
sometimes,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. So
you immediately were kind of intrigued,
and intrigued, and I didn't have like a way to. I don't know how I was going to get there, but I always in the back of my mind was inspired by that, motivated to do like something like that. So cut to. I also had the gymnastics background and the tennis and just being like into a lot of sports, racquetball. I used to live at the racquetball courthouse.
What?
I was freaking a badass with her.
I'm not surprised. But also like racquetball. I've never even stepped foot on a racquetball court.
It is like a sport that you have to try.
Were your parents athletic like this? Is that, or did you just had it in you? You're like, I love to be active.
Yeah, I love to be active.
Wow.
And when we lived in Lancaster, my mom was like, are you just going to be like living at the Division Street Courthouse? Are you ever coming home? But I just loved it. I loved, how it made me feel. And then the competition with other players and just the social part of it too. I'll never forget. I loved the Eurythmics, the band.
What are the Eurythmics?
It's a band. Annie Lennox had the shortest haircut, just super, super short. And I had long hair, right?
Okay.
So I decided I'm going to just cut my hair and give myself a, super short haircut.
No way.
Then my friend calls me up and says, hey, the Los Angeles Raiders are having tryouts. And I was like,
I just cut out my hair.
I just cut all my hair because, cheerleaders with the long hair and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Just try out anyway. So I tried out, short hair. I made the team. And one of the things that Al Locasal, who was, he was the guy, he was Al Davis's right-hand guy. He was in charge of all the Raiderettes.
Got it. Okay. Because I was like, I don't know who Al Davis is either. I know none of these
Al
people.
Al Davis was the owner of the Los Angeles Raiders.
Okay.
It was the Oakland Raiders, and then it was the Los Angeles Raiders, and it went back to Oakland. Now it's the Las Vegas Raiders. I know.
I love this education so much right now.
I know.
And I should know these things.
So now his son, Mark Davis, owns the team.
Okay.
Al Davis passed away like many years ago.
Oh, okay.
Al Locasal said to me, you stood out like amongst all the girls with your short hair. I only saw like cheekbones.
You do have amazing cheekbones. Your cheekbones are amazing. But it makes sense that you would stand out. It's 100%. Not just the cheekbones. Like I 100% believe you stand out.
Oh.
But how cool. So he's like, you stood out. It's what made you, on top of you, it's just what made you stand out because it was so different. Everyone else had the long hair. But take it back. Your friend just called you up. Like, did you tell her like, hey, listen, I'm thinking of wanting to get into dance and cheerleading more? Or did she just call you?
So I think what happened was I had tried out for the Rams. I tried out for the Rams before. And the reason I tried out for those cheerleading things is because when I was in school in Egypt, the Rams were playing in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So we somehow got a copy of it because there was no broadcasting live those days.
Yeah.
We watched the Rams win. I think they won the Super Bowl. And I said, when I go back to the States, I'm trying out to be a Rams cheerleader.
Oh my God. So you put it out there.
I put it out there.
Oh, wow.
And I tried out and I didn't make it.
Okay.
But I remember meeting this girl. We just stayed in touch.
Yeah.
And then when the Raiders were having their tryouts the next season, I tried out. And then I knew what I had to do. I had to be more stage presence. You're cheering in front of like hundreds of people. You have to really bring it.
Where does that fearlessness come from or courage? Because you kind of are just like, I want to do this thing. I'm going to do it. Like, oh, the Rams won the Super Bowl. I'm going to go cheerlead for the Rams. And you're able to pivot and go, well, I didn't make that team. That's okay. I've got grit. Now I'm going to go, audition for the Oakland Raiders. Like that takes courage. And
I'm looking at you like... like you don't know.
Everyone's different. Everyone's got a different, I guess. But yes. But this
no,
is about me.
I know it's not about me. It's not about you, but I know you have those aspirations and those. I think it's in us. I mean,
it is.
You know what I mean? It's like, and even in your whole family group, no one else was like that. Like my sister still teases me like, I was never like that. Like she never has done sports.
What do you think it is? Because sometimes I wonder too, because it's like when people ask that question, because I think you're right, we have that in common. It's like, I look at it, I'm like, I don't know. I would be more upset if I didn't try. It's kind of part of it. I don't know how you feel, but it's like, I'm kind of like, if I put my mind to something and don't at least attempt to do it, I'll be really sad that I didn't at least try. And I'm okay with failing or things not going how I planned. So there's kind of this thing of like, so if I go, oh, I want to cheerlead, or oh, I want to do that thing, or oh, I want to start a podcast, I'm like, well, I'm going to do it and see how it goes. But really, that's like scary. And like,
it's scary. The only way that it's scary is the fear of the unknown. You know who Anthony Robbins is?
Yeah.
So he's like, fear is false evidence appearing real. It's really not It's not real. What are you afraid of? And you know what? Kobe said that too. Kobe Bryant. He said, "What are we afraid of? It hasn't even happened yet. So what are you afraid of?"
Mic drop. Okay.
Yeah, it's false. Like if you can get through knowing that,
Yeah.
get over that and just do it.
It's so true.
Nothing is going to stop you, right?
It's almost like time makes that worse, doesn't it? Like sometimes if you think of doing something and you don't do it in time, you end up building up. Sorry.
Resistance, time, and I feel like it's your age too. Because when we're younger, we're like daredevils, right? We could do anything.
Invincible.
Are you kidding me? I could ride the skateboard in a handstand.
I'm not going to break any bones. Nothing bad's going to happen. Yeah.
I know. When I met my husband, I was like, suddenly I'm on a Honda.
Which we have to talk about how you met your husband because I love that story so much.
My God.
But we'll get to that.
Suddenly I'm riding a motorcycle.
You're like, okay.
Suddenly we're out like camping and like I'm doing. But you know, it's like when you're young, you just have like a spirit, and my spirit was adventurous, and it still is, you know. But like back then, more than anything, like I was like, that sounds cool. I could do that. I was crafty. I was, oh my God, crafty.
Like what? Like what would you craft?
Anything.
Really?
Anything.
Build
like,
as
I could
well?
do those. I could do like.
So design, just so much design.
And I remember, you know, like when throws were not a thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Like blankets, like the blanket throws. Yeah.
Like really nice throws. They
Yeah.
were not a thing. I would
I
go
can't
downtown.
imagine a world where they weren't a thing. I'm obsessed with throws. Okay, sorry.
Well, I would go downtown
Yeah.
to the garment district, and I had a sewing machine, and I learned how to sew in high school, home economics.
And was this high school when you were in Egypt?
the States.
In the States.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because, you know, they had like wood shop. Now, back then, I was like, I really want to take wood shop, but girls weren't taking wood shop classes. It was like basically guys. I wish I would have taken wood shop too, because are you kidding me? I could make a table. I could put a room up. I could do a door. I could do anything.
I could have called you up and helped build the podcast.
I know, right?
No,
but girls weren't really doing that. That wasn't a girl thing.
Wow.
The girl things were home economics, learning how to cook, learning how to sew. So when I made cheerleading, we had to sew our own uniforms.
Cheerleading, when you made cheerleading in
in
Oakland?
high school.
Oh, in high school. I was like, where?
So like going back.
Yes.
Going back in
So
high
in high school, you had to make your own.
They said, go to this fabric store,
Yeah.
get this pattern number, because you're making your own uniforms. And I was like, what the? Because my mom didn't really know how to sew.
So you had to figure it out.
I had to figure it out. So I went to the store. Of course, the people helped me get the patterns,
Yeah.
get the threads, get the bias, whatever that was, get the trim. And I freaking made my own cheerleading top, skirt.
That's so cool, though.
It still amazes me.
Yeah.
It still amazes me because I'm pretty sure the school, Antelope Valley High School,
Yeah.
didn't have it in their budget to order 5 outfits for junior varsity, freshmen, the song leaders.
Yeah.
We all made our own.
It's actually really smart because that stuff adds up. I mean, I even have friends who's like, oh God, we're having to buy a new outfit every year. It's like, if
It's
you could just
true.
go get the material and make it yourself.
And look at that.
Yeah.
Just because of that, I learned how to sew, and I never stopped sewing. And sewing, you never forget. You never forget.
So do you still sew today?
I don't have as much time now. So like during COVID, I remember I met this girl. She was making all these custom masks, you know?
Yeah.
I had bought a serger. A serger sewing machine does this.
Okay.
It's called an overlap machine.
Okay.
So serger or whatever. All of your clothes inside are overlocked.
Okay.
I bought a machine that does that. During COVID, I remember I said, well, if you make me X amount of all these masks, I'll just give you my serger machine, because I just didn't sew anymore.
Yeah.
I had so much fabric over the years. I remember my friends would come over and go, you have like a little mini shop?
Of all the fabrics and stuff.
It was just like crazy. Like on my whole dining room was like.
So you really got
fabric.
into it.
So
for a
yeah,
while
going
there.
back to the throws, I would go down there.
Yes.
And so they had faux mink
Okay.
and all of these like cozy fabrics.
Yeah.
And all it was 2 pieces of material, right?
Yeah.
And if you wanted to put a trim, so you'd buy the 2 pieces of material, how long you wanted it, and the trim and the thread.
Yep.
You would put the 2 sides together with the trim in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And then you would sew up the edges. When you get to a certain point, turn it inside
out.
So the right side. I know
Oh, that's fascinating.
it's the easiest thing in the world.
I don't know stitching or sewing or any of that at all. But the way you just explained that, I'm like, oh my gosh. So you're basically just doing it inside out and then you flip
do it
it.
inside out. Yeah. And you put the trim in the middle. You pin it.
Okay.
Pin all the sides together.
Yeah.
And then you turn it, lift the thing up, spin it. All of a sudden.
And you're making throws.
And I gave them away and people were like, they bought them. I would sell them too.
Oh my gosh, like your life is just so that's stemmed though from in high school basically not getting to do the workshop. So you did the home ec class where you're learning how to stitch, but also on the cheerleading team where you have to do your own cheerleading costume, which then you started making the blankets, I'm assuming once you got back after high school. That's when you were making the throws.
Yep. So after we got back to the States, after I was out on my own, after I'd moved down to like Long Beach and I lived in Seal Beach, the whole cheerleading thing.
Yeah.
Like so now I had my career. I was still working for Rockwell, but I was down in Hawthorne.
Okay. Oh, so you moved location.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I moved down there, relocated.
Oh, so you were living on your own.
And I was living on my own. I had a roommate.
Okay.
Decided this is how like my life was like a million little things, right?
Yes.
I directed that show too. But I know.
I was about to say
it is a million little things because I said, so Northrop or Rockwell was in Palmdale.
Got it.
When I made the Raiders, the Raiderettes, they practice in El Segundo. El Segundo is near the airport.
Very far away from each other.
So on Monday night, Wednesday night, and Saturday mornings, we would rehearse down in El Segundo. And the games were at the LA Coliseum.
So everything's out there in that way. Yep.
And it's like, you need to move down there.
Yeah.
So then my job in Palmdale relocated to Hawthorne.
Okay.
Maybe it was El Segundo. It was El Segundo. Worked at Rockwell in El Segundo. Practiced with the team on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday mornings. And then the game on Sundays. And then I was like doing it, like career, all of this stuff. And then when you asked me how I pivoted, why I pivoted, why I didn't want to be at a desk for the rest of my life, it just, see how creative I was? I was like, you're just not going to be that person. No. I'm not going to be that person. Plus sitting at a desk for a long time, it just wasn't me. I was way too active and there was just something that I needed to do.
And such a go-getter too. But so interesting. So you were doing the cheerleading you were doing, what are they? The
Raiderettes.
The Raiderettes. While you were still working for Northrop at the same time, you were doing both of those.
The transition from Northrop, I decided I wanted to be a flight attendant.
What?
I swear. I work for Jet America. My friend Randy.
What is Jet America?
Jet America doesn't exist anymore.
Oh
my friend Randy just sent me. I know, I'm telling you. So my friend Randy just sent me a picture of when I was a flight attendant. And the reason why I wanted to be a flight attendant is because I wanted to travel.
You're so smart. So basically, you're like, I don't want to sit at a desk, but also there is that attraction to flight, to aviation, all that. So you're working for Northrop. But on top of it, you love being creative, so you're dancing and you're cheerleading. But now you're like, I'm sick of sitting as much as I'm fascinated by all of this, because it's fascinating with aerodynamics and aviation, you're like, I want to travel more.
I want to travel.
And I want them to pay for my travel. I'm assuming that's always part of it too. So, I mean, it's a great job. But so then you're like, I'm going to be a flight attendant.
So I'm going to be a flight attendant.
But it just doesn't happen like that. So did you know anyone? No. How did you get in? You just submitted?
Yeah, I just submitted, and then you go on interviews, and then you go through training, and then you go through schooling.
Yes.
And then you graduate, and then suddenly I'm a flight attendant.
How long did that take?
I think it took a good 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they pay you while you're going through all of that. So while I was doing all of that, I was cheering back and forth. So then during the games, sometimes I would miss it because I would be on a flight. So with flight attending, you get to make your schedule ahead.
Yeah.
The month before, you say so on the 15th of a month, you go, so for next month, this is what I want my schedule to be.
Got it.
And because I was junior, there were seniors ahead of me. They get all the great trips. Yeah. They get all the fantastic turns. A turn, flight attendant, I know terminology is, so we flew out of Long Beach, right? So a turn, well, I lived in.
It was just also interesting. I feel like Long Beach Airport is such a small airport, is it not?
Yeah, but that's where Jet America was based out of.
Got it. Okay.
So it was all Long Beach based. Or Ontario, very few trips to Ontario and Burbank. So a turn is, you may do 2 turns in a day also. A turn is from Long Beach to Dallas, Fort Worth, back to Long Beach, back to Dallas, Fort Worth, and then Long Beach. And then you'd have like 2 days off after that.
Okay.
Or a day off. And then if you wanted to do turns your whole month, that's all you would do is do like that. Another turn would be like Long Beach to Chicago O'Hare. Chicago O'Hare, you'd bring the plane right back. Yeah. And then you have 2 days off after that.
Okay. Did you like doing turns?
Yeah.
And why is that?
I think it's because you just get it over with.
Got it.
You know, and then you weren't like working every day. Also, they had to give you days off in between some of those. So you could do like 2 turns, 2-day turns, and then you'd have like 2 days off.
Got it. So you're basically stacking days essentially. You're like, let me get these so then I can have these days off. Oh my gosh. So how long were you a flight attendant for?
So I did that. But then when I was missing games and things like that, and the Raiders loved it. The Raiders loved promoting that one of their dancers, you know, one of their cheerleaders was a flight attendant. Like they loved all that stuff.
Why? I mean, I love it.
I mean, I think it's just because like just the appeal of it or just, you know.
That's really cool. So so now you're a flight attendant and an Oakland Raiders cheerleader. Where do you go from there?
So then I started to get a little bit like, okay, so I'm a flight attendant and now it's like my 3rd year of being a flight attendant, right?
Got it.
And cheering. This is kind of I'm getting exhausted.
Got it.
Not only that, I started to think my days are getting numbered. Like every time you go up in the air, like what are the odds that I'm going to keep having these flights with no incidents? Like no
that crossed your mind.
Like crossed my mind, you know? So my odds, I felt like it was getting lower and lower. Plus, when you're a flight attendant, when you fly, it dries you out, right? It dries your skin out and
it takes a toll on the body. Every time I fly, I guzzle water. They never give us enough water on planes, by the way. So I usually walk on a plane with like 4 water bottles.
Yeah.
And then whatever water they're willing to give me because I'm so dehydrated.
Well, if you think about this, because this is like a little fun fact of flying.
Please.
They can only stock the plane with so many waters, so much food.
Yeah, of course.
Passengers. Yeah. So someone like you that requires a lot of water, let's say there's like
as I drink
10 other people that have the same requirement.
Yeah, you can't sustain it.
We can't like give everybody peanuts and, you know. So anyway, that industry changed a lot. But the other thing was Jet America got bought out by Alaska Airlines.
And did you like that transition? Were you?
No, not really, because our Jet America was just like first class. We would actually bring salad bowls, like a big salad bowl, and they would, you know, we would put it in the big salad bowl and we would toss salads for the first class passengers. And that was like, it was called the personal touch. If you like Google after this, Jet America, the personal touch, that was like our thing.
They need to bring that back. Jet America had this amazing kind of personal touch to everything.
It had a personal touch, so it all went away with Alaska Airlines. They weren't doing any of that because Alaska Airlines already existed and they had their own thing. So we just folded into them. So then I started thinking like I wanted to try acting.
So where did that come from?
I mean,
was there a movie you saw or a television show you saw or something like that you're like, oh my God, that was phenomenal. I want to do that.
Well, you know, it's sort of one of those things like when you say, I can do that, I can do that. Like there's got to be some little spark in me that I say, you know, I've always wanted to try acting. I'm going to do it. Yeah. I'm going to try it.
Did you always want to try acting?
So the first thing was commercials. Okay. Like just doing commercials, because that's easy, right?
Did you do any of that with the Oakland Raiders? Did you do any commercials?
We did like promotions.
Okay, so you had a little bit of that.
We would get paid for promotional things like that.
Okay.
Like there were department stores that would hire us and we would come and we would do a dance and we'd sign autographs and things like that. But commercials, to do a commercial was easy. Like who can't represent a can of Pepsi or a Shell gas station or, you know, who couldn't do that, right? I think what happened was I wanted to try the acting, didn't know how I was going to get into it. But the girl that was a Rams cheerleader many, many, many years ago, let's circle back to that. Yeah. Her name is Dawn Gilliam.
Okay.
And she's a self-taught script supervisor. She was a Rams cheerleader. Then she stopped to teach herself script supervising. I know.
What an interesting pivot.
And so I saw her because I said, I'm going to sign up to be an extra. I'm going to do background work.
Yeah.
And then one time I showed up on a job. She was there. We knew each other from cheerleading days.
Yeah.
And they were asking all the background to come this way. I started walking. I said, I think we're going over here. And she said, no, I'm actually the script supervisor. And I was like, the script supervisor? Like, what's that? Like, Yeah. And so I looked it up and amazing.
Would you like to tell me what a script supervisor is? Just for anyone out there listening that might not know.
So a script supervisor or continuity is we write down everything that the camera shoots for the editor. So we basically create the Bible that the editor uses when they cut everything together. So if you're script supervising and the actor says the wrong lines, we have to say, if the director doesn't want to do another take, wrong line, or the director says, we'll get it in the close-up. We're not going to go again for that line. So you just write it all down. Or continuity, her sleeve was up in the master. The director was aware. We'll get it in the coverage. We have to write all that down. We write down the camera angles. We write down the takes, how long the takes are. I know, everything.
And we'll get more into it when we get into that, as soon as you change and when you pivot to that. But I admire it so much. I think it's one of those thankless jobs a little bit. Everyone knows, everyone's thankful, but it is a little thankless. It's like people kind of forget that without that missing, if you remove that piece, it kind of all crumbles. It's kind of like dominoes or like a tower of paper cards, of like playing cards. You'd pull one out. If you pull a script supervisor or continuity out, it would make the job astronomically harder and have a ton of errors.
Well, because when you think about it, anything that you shoot, that's forever. It's forever. Now, we've been talking. If suddenly I move this here, it's out of continuity, right?
And it's jolting for the eye.
If you cut back and I move this here, suddenly it's like the audience can be like, hold on, that water glass used to be here. Now I'm going to move it back. And in your cut, you're like, why didn't anybody, or the water moving? If we had done this in like 3 takes and you thought the first take was the best and the last take, now the first take, the water was moving.
Yeah.
So can you use that take?
If it's just, and that's where it's like, if it's distracting, which it can ruin a take. I mean, you can have a great performance and you want to cut into the close-up of someone and you can't because the continuity doesn't match. So you're like, I can't even get closer. I have to choose between these 2 shots. Yeah. Because I can't intercut them. Well, and it's also like all that time was basically wasted filming because you can't use half of it. Ugh. Anyways, I value your job so much. I could go for hours about this. But so you talked to, what was her name? Dawn
Gilliam.
Dawn Gilliam. And so you met her while you were starting to get into doing extra work. And she was doing script supervising, and she basically was like, this is what I do.
Because she had also done extra work.
Okay.
The reason I wanted to try script supervising now is because I knew all the commercials that I'm going on, because I was doing background and doing commercials. But then I wanted to try acting roles, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, like, how am I going to get my SAG card?
What were the requirements then?
God, I don't remember, like, back then, but I got my SAG card because I was doing extra work on an Eddie Murphy movie. Again, as a background artist watching the main characters, of course I could do that. Of course. If I studied a little bit, right? If I study what they're doing, I could do that. I started doing that. And another 48 hours needed birdcage.
Another 48 hours. That was the movie.
Eddie Murphy, Nick Nolte.
Yeah.
They needed these birdcage waitresses.
Okay.
So I got hired to be a birdcage waitress. I got upgraded on the movie. There was a bar scene and they needed a waitress that one of the bad guys could grab and hold as a hostage.
Yeah.
Gun to my head and everything, right? So Walter Hill, the director, what they did was they like picked a few girls who were interested and they said, what you guys are going to do is we're going to go outside and Walter's going to come out there and you will do the scene. This is the scene. Yeah. And then Walter's going to decide. I acted my ass off. Because I'm like, well, so what happens in the scene? So they're like, this, shoot out. You're running. Everybody's like running everywhere, taking cover. This guy grabs you, puts a gun to your head. You scream, oh my God, whatever. And that's exactly what I did. And I'm like, I'm going to make this as real as possible. Yeah. And Walter Hill said, her. I got the job. I got upgraded. I got Taft-Hartley. I got my SAG card. And I was in there. And, at first it was kind of like, the real birdcage waitresses, the ones in the cages, had pasties on.
Okay.
And so we had pasties too, but we also had like this metal bra.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be like seen with like, you know, all of this nothing on, right?
Yeah.
And the stunt coordinator said, are you kidding? This is an Eddie Murphy film. You want to do this. And then you'll get residuals. And I didn't know anything about that, right?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, great. To this day, I think my last residual check is like 48 cents.
Yeah.
Like,
But
you
you're
know,
still getting it.
I'm still getting it. You know, it was great. And then I could do like acting roles. I can actually audition for other roles and stuff like that. So
Because you were in the union. So then, yeah.
now I got to join SAG and, you know, and then it was like I'm doing commercials, mostly commercials, but acting,
Yeah.
you know. I think what catapulted me into script supervising full time was now I'm up against all these other heavy hitter actors that were always getting the job.
Yeah.
You know, like they're going to hire Halle Berry over me. They're going to hire Nia Long over me. You know, the same girls were getting the roles. Yeah. And, you know, granted, I could have had like a better, you know, I could have studied more or had a better agent. Who knows?
Yeah.
But what I decided was, so I need to do something in between while I wanted to stay in the business too. Like, this is definitely the business. I'm not moving.
Yeah.
I want to stay in this.
Yeah.
And now I need to perfect this craft.
Okay.
And I'm really, really good at organizing. So one of the things that a script supervisor does, they're very good at organizing. So when you start, right, it's just a bunch of like stuff going on. But because working in, you know, aircraft business and doing all the paperwork for this, like I knew how to file, I knew how to be organized. Oh, this is nothing. I can keep track of all these things and be on my phone and answer the phone. I mean, like, it was like nothing for me.
Yeah, you just had that.
I just
had
had
talent.
it. So that's one of the good things about being a script supervisor is you're just organized and it's a skill set that I didn't need to work on. I was really good at it. I was really, really good at, I knew what I had to, you know, with the actors and the performances. And sometimes the actors would come up to me and I don't know why I'm whispering because
they would on set.
it's like, 'cause I didn't want the other directors to know. Like sometimes they would. Sometimes they would come up and say, how was it, Nicole? And I'd be like, but the director's over there. No, we're asking you, how was it? Because they trusted, was it not a bullshitter either?
Yeah, and it's also the script supervisors, you're there every day, especially on television, and television directors, they change.
Yeah.
You're the one that watches my performance every day in and out. You know what I'm capable of and not capable of. That director is just there to do one episode. And yes, they want the best performance, and they're phenomenal, they're great, but at the same time, like, you watch me every day. So like from your standard, and I get it. I leaned on every script supervisor I've ever had. Whether even if I'm having a day where I'm like, I don't know what's up with these lines, I can't seem to get them, can you run them with me? You do that too. Like, you guys have 8 million things to do. And then every script supervisor I've ever worked with would always be like, I'm like, can you run lines? And they're like, yeah. Stop what they're doing and just run lines with me.
Well, let me just give you a little piece of any script supervisor out there who wants to get into acting. When an actor says, can you run lines with me? Do it. Because if you ever wanted to act or perform, you're getting the opportunity to act with yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
it's true in every. Why am I getting emotional, Nicole? That was weird.
it's good.
It's good, I guess. That
It's
was really weird.
really good because they're not going to you either. They're going to be like, I think you phoned it in right now.
Yeah, and it's like every little moment you can act is another lesson. It's another little practice session. Any chance you can get to act opposite somebody is so important. Wow, that was such an interesting feeling that came over me, Nicole. What's happening? Yeah, and it's when you started script supervising, you took those moments then, I'm assuming. Every person that wanted to run lines, you're like, absolutely. You were like, let's do it.
Because you don't want to be running lines with someone like Sandra Oh and be like, I'm sorry, Sandra, let me step it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Or Kevin, right? Like, can you run lines with me? You want to be able to be on the same level and give them something. You want to give them something. You don't just want to be like saying the lines.
Wow.
You want to try to match what they're trying to give you.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes they are just running the lines. They'll say like, no performance, but just run these lines to make sure that I have them.
Yeah, basically say the words. Yeah.
But like, you know, with a lot of the actors, I didn't mind at all. Like, you know, with Ellen, like in her makeup chair or whatever, I don't think I ever did that. But if she ever need like come over to my chair and run line, of course. Yeah.
So that's when you segued into, so you were doing the commercials, the acting jobs, you got Taft-Hartley, you're now part of SAG Union, but then you decided I'm going to do script supervising. Was a little bit of that, was it strictly, what was the main reason you said I want to do more script supervising? Did you say that?
To make a living.
I was going to say, well, because there is stability in it, right? And that's what I was wondering if that's what it is. Like,
it's consistent work.
Yep.
This business, it's hard to have stability.
Yeah.
I mean, I was single, but I wanted nice things.
Yes.
I wanted to go out to nice dinners and things like that. So, I needed to make a living.
Yeah. But then you knew it was such a great kind of adjacent to acting because you got into script supervising, like you said, though, but you're still getting to do acting with actors and you're getting to learn so much. I have always said ever since I started shadowing directors, I was like, they should make actors do this. Yeah. More people should have the opportunity. Actors, not even people that want to direct or people that want to produce, be on set because you learn so much just observing as an actor. And you got to watch so many performances and be able to, I'm sure, because you are that brain that went, which I loved when you said that you were watching like Eddie Murphy and stuff. And you're like, wait, I can do that.
Well, no, I wasn't watching Eddie say.
But whatever, like whoever
I wasn't watching Eddie saying that.
I mean, I don't know if anyone could do what Eddie could do. Like that's different. But you saw actors act and you said, I can do that.
I thought, like, that's interesting. And what does it take to do that? Because there are some actors, they're just natural. They never took a class in their life. And they are just, like, so natural. And then there's other actors, they still are training.
Yep.
They're still going to school.
Yep.
They're still learning and perfecting that craft. Because just like anything else, if you don't use it, you lose it, right?
It's a muscle.
It's a muscle.
Absolutely a muscle. Oh my gosh. I didn't know we were going to get so into the acting. I get so passionate, Nicole. So you started script supervising. What was the first project you script supervised on?
So I believe it was called How to Get a Player.
Okay.
How to Be a Player.
Okay.
How to Be a Player with Bill Bellamy.
Okay.
I remember because it was non-union. So no. Let me go back.
Yes.
Because I learned on Tales from the Hood. That was a Rusty Cundiff, Darren Scott film. When my girlfriend Dawn Gilliam was working on Tales from the Hood, that's what I trained on. I was doing some of the second unit on that.
Okay.
And then when Dawn couldn't do an episode or, a show or something like that or a movie, she would hand it to me.
Oh, nice.
So the second one, it was called Networking. So she was like, they're doing this movie called Sprung, and it was Rusty Cundiff and Darren. See, they already knew me from Tales from the Hood, and I got in there and I did that movie, Sprung, and then from there on, I just doing other things. And so the Bill Bellamy project, How to Be a Player, was also non-union. Halfway through that, they said, we're going to go union on this. That's when I joined the IATSE.
Really?
Yeah.
So you joined another union.
So I joined another union.
So you're still paying SAG dues? Are you still paying SAG dues too? Oh my gosh, Nicole. Okay, I have to take one step back just to kind of remind myself, when did you stop cheerleading?
So I think it was like 92 or something.
Okay. So, but
I want to say that, but it might be.
You had already gotten into acting though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had already started into acting. And that's why it's so funny because I said to my friends, with my cheerleading, I did 5 years and then I took a year off.
With which one?
With cheerleading.
Oh.
I said, no, I don't want to try out this year. But then I missed my friends and I went back a 6th season.
Okay.
And then I said, I was right.
Yeah.
I should have let this go. Why did you come back?
Got it.
I let it go again because I started thinking, well, now what am I, 20-something years old? No, you need to get a career and do something and start making money and get a life, basically. Not that the cheerleaders weren't, because this was a hobby. It was a glorified hobby. We got paid.
Yep.
But my thing was they're not giving us a pension.
No.
I'm not making a pension on this.
And there's no real promotional growth, correct? Yeah.
No. Isn't it a crazy life?
Your life is absolutely, it's just so fascinating because, like I said, you have that courage and that drive to just pivot. Most people, you get into something and you go, we didn't even talk about when did you stop? You just kind of said once they merged the airlines, you kind of stopped. But also, it's scary to stop. It's scary because being a stewardess is stability.
Yeah.
I get that the cheerleading, eventually you reach a point where you're like, okay, there's no more growth here. But even working at Northrop, Was it Northrop or Rockwell that you worked
Rockwell.
Rockwell. So working at Rockwell, like you knew there was growth there. You knew there was stability. But it's so interesting that you gravitated towards, I want to be an actress. I want to be on sets. I want to be a script supervisor, which is an industry that really doesn't have a ton of stability.
No, I know.
But you're like, but this fulfills me. And it's that muscle, which you've always been an athlete. Then to talk about another version of a muscle that you're like, I can see something here. I see the potential. Were you also gravitated towards the challenge? Because it never gets boring. If there's an industry that doesn't get boring, it's this one.
It doesn't get boring. And then I had my girlfriend, Jackie, and we would go on auditions together, and we had the same agent. So, back then it was a little bit different because you'd have to drive to your auditions, and we would go together, and then we'd have lunch and hang out and stuff. So that, part of that business was fun.
Yeah.
And then the camaraderie of the Raiderettes, because Jackie was a Raiderette and Denise was a Raiderette. And like we had a group of girls, Donna, we all hung out, and today we're still friends. To this day, we're still friends. That part of it wasn't as scary because we'd all like support each other and stuff like that. But, there comes a time in your life when I feel like do it while you're young, because I didn't know anything about getting older and how it would feel if I didn't do it. Yeah. I just knew like, hey, like any other young person, I'm young, I'm going to go do it. Yeah. I'm going to do it. And like my mom was really and truly like scared.
I was going to say, it's great you brought that in because I was going to say, how did your family feel about all this?
I think my dad was like, do it. Yeah. Do it. Like, don't let anybody stop you. But my mom was more like, where's the stability in acting? There is no stability in acting. And what are you going to do? What is it called? What is your backup? Mm-hmm. What is your backup? She would have preferred if I would have stayed like in a stable job and then had the stuff on the side. And, I didn't want to do that. I just knew like I'm so creative. I would always wonder why I didn't do it. And I didn't want to have that regret.
See, that's what I was wondering. When it goes back to like, there's a fear of if you don't do it, you're going to have more regret than if you at least try. It's almost like because I rack my brain about like, where does this fearlessness come from? Or I don't look at it as that. I think you really kind of struggle. It's hard to define it as fearlessness or courageousness because it feels like you just have to do it. Like if I don't do it, I'm going to be more upset with myself if I don't try.
Because in your mind, you're like, it will bother you. Yeah. It will definitely bother you. So you got to go try it. But try it and committing. Yeah. Got to commit because things are a lot different now. Things are just a lot different. You don't have, I would say, the interaction with other actors. You just don't. Like when you remember we used to go to auditions, you'd pull up, park your car, you'd see the same girl auditioning. Hey, how's it going? What are you going for? Oh, I'm going for this. Like you could talk, well, what are you doing right now? You want to go have lunch? Yeah. You want to like hang out? You would have like actor friends.
Just communicating in general, but yes. And you'd see the same girls at the same things. And it was kind of, you also got to see each other like grow up going through auditions. And I loved having to drive. I loved that you only got one chance to get it right. I mean, yes, if you got to redo it in the room or whatever, but you had to kind of perform.
You had to perform.
Like it was just, I miss that way of the industry. Yeah. It's very isolating now. It's very much self-tapes, Zooms.
It's cold.
It's very cold. And I think there's able to be a human disconnect now because now it's like you feel like you're missing that. Because in a room, someone's bawling their eyes out or performing a scene, you know that person's being vulnerable. You know that they're giving it their all, they're leaving it on the floor. You have the time to go, you know what, I'm going to call that agent and say they did great, but it's not going forward. They did phenomenal, whatever. Now we even live in a world where it's like they see your tape and immediately next. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it in regards to like you watch tapes, seeing these performances as a director, and you give it the time to watch the performance, but none of those actors that don't get it never get a call saying, it doesn't happen now. No one gets a call saying you did a great job. Or even in the room when you would go, oh, the person was like, oh, great job. And so you at least walk away going, oh no, I know I did a good job. I might not get it, but they said I did a good job. I felt validated.
Yeah, because there's other reasons why you don't get the job.
Always, but you never know.
But you never know. That was my tangent. No. This is great because this is the audience also getting to see a part of you that they never see.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't get to see like, you as an actress, like what are your struggles when you know what I mean? Like there's some struggles are like real. And I'm like bringing that up, like having to park your car, look down the street and be like, oh God, so-and-so is auditioning. She's going to get it.
damn
what
it.
am I even here for? You know?
Or talk about parking. Like, were you going to get a ticket or not get a ticket? Where are you going to park?
Like, this auditioning is taking so long, I'm going to get a ticket when I go outside.
I have to go run out to get my meter, but if I go run out now, they might call me in. And if they call me in and I miss, oh my gosh. Those little moments.
The young crowd,
Yeah.
they don't even know about that.
They don't.
And the struggles of LA and New York. Now, I would say like New York is worse. So, or maybe not even worse, because you would never drive your car to an audition in New York.
No, you'd
you
have
would
to
take
rely
a
on
cab
the subway.
or the transportation, the public transportation there.
Yeah.
A train or whatever. And I used to be like so sad for the actors when it was raining. They would come through the door with their umbrella, sometimes wet. They got one chance to perform. And it would be a no. And it would be like they drove or took a train an hour to get here. And I think that's why, coming from my journey, I understand that. I understand these. You don't know these people's lives. You don't know if this lady has like 3 kids and she had to get a babysitter to watch her children while she drives 45 minutes to this audition and then doesn't get it.
Yep.
Why? What do you have on your mind right now? Let's do that again. Let's do that again, because I could see that you're nervous.
Yeah.
So go outside, calm down. We're going to bring someone else in. And, the director has the room. The director has the ability to do that.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen anymore. But now what I see and what I can control is what I was saying to you about callbacks. I don't care. Like, bring this person back, and I would like to talk to them on a Zoom and tell them what I'm looking for. So next time when they come, they can know this is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Try not to be this or try to bring that. You're almost there. You could talk to them.
Yes.
Because they have no idea.
And to see if you can pivot. We're going on such a tangent because now we're just jumping ahead to the directing world. But like the being able to take direction. Sometimes I remember directors in rooms, they were just wanting to see if I could change it or if I was so stuck in my ways. Because that thing too is like on the set. It's like things might change. You're like, you need to be more emotional in the scene. Or actually, we need you to play it like you're just numb, something traumatized to happen, whatever. And so I loved it. Like getting to sit in the room and the director was like, try it this way. And I would do it that way. And I was like, oh, I did it. And then try it this way.
Yeah.
And I was like, and it feels so good. Even if you don't get it, even in the end, you're like, because you said there's a million reasons why you don't get jobs. Like it is literally lightning in a bottle when everything works out. But it's like just the act of getting to be in the room and get those notes and those direction and have fun.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy that going back to you, Nicole, I'm going to pivot because I'll just keep talking, is as a director, it really means a lot that you do force those callbacks and that you do want to talk to the actors. But at the same time, let's take it back because you're not even a director yet. You're still just a script supervisor.
I'm still a script supervisor, yeah. Script supervising we could talk about forever because it's just so deep. I did the first Blade as a script supervisor. Blade.
How did I not know this?
And training day.
As script supervisor. Wait, I didn't know about training day. Oh my God, why didn't I mention that in the intro? Oh my gosh.
And I remember too, learning from Antoine Fuqua, the director, and Denzel, and Ethan Hawke, and just, wait a second, the crew. Yeah. Like the whole entire set. There were no newbies on there. Everybody was experienced. I had worked my way up. I was right there. Because of the movies that I'd done and my reputation, I'm the script supervisor on training day. Nothing's getting past me. And this is not like, Nicole, what hand did I use? You better know. Yeah. Denzel, what hand did I use to pick up that fork? Your right hand. Thank you, ma'am. You know what I mean? Like, we're not fooling around with some actor these are Academy, like, caliber people.
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke, very quiet. This was a huge role for him.
Yeah.
Huge. And I'm sitting there, and I remember I was pregnant too on set, and Denzel would come and he'd rub my belly, before we rehearsed. And I always thought, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed because like here we are, like a bunch of people standing around. He got to come rub my belly. Not now, Denzel, not now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, just all of that training.
Yeah.
And watching and learning that by the time I interviewed for Grey's Anatomy as a script supervisor on their show, they had already done the pilot. They already shot the pilot. They said, take this pilot home and let us know what you think. And we had the interview, and they said, what's your family like and all that. I said, oh, my daughter's 3. And they were like, oh, if you get this job, you'd never see her. How do you feel about that? And I was like, surely that can't be true. Because up until then, I'd only done features.
So you had.
I was only features. I was Coach Carter. I was like, Friday After Next. So features, you could do, work on a feature for 3-4 months and then have like 2 months off.
Yeah.
Television, everyday grind. So again, I called my friend Dawn Gilliam, who, by the way, was J.J. Abrams' script supervisor. Huge. And huge movies. Black Panther, Mission Impossible.
And even Dawn started off as a Raiders cheerleader.
Rams cheerleader.
Rams. Oh, Rams. She was Rams.
She was
Raiders.
Rams, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we knew we wanted more.
Yeah.
We knew that there were more. There was more, right? So anyway, I said, at that point, when I started on Grey's, it was like 2003. Television wasn't as popular. Alias, what was the other one that was kind of popular at the time?
Oh gosh.
The X-Files,
Yes.
Stuff like that. No one really watched television. There were no streaming. It was nothing like that. So I always was like, I want to be script supervisor on features. I interviewed for Flight Plan and Grey's Anatomy. And so I called my friend Dawn, and she said, you know the difference between TV is it's a grind. It's a cash cow, actually, too, because it's so consistent. But I said, I know, but I've never done television before. But she said, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Do it for a season. If you don't like it, then you can say you don't like it and then leave the next season. Yeah. But you're going to like it because you're going to like the consistency of getting a check all the time.
But also, how would you have known that Grey's would have become the thing it was? You would know, like, just to think too, like back to that moment of like deciding whether or not you're going to do TV or not. And you didn't just do TV, but you did one of the most iconic shows in television history.
Iconic. But I knew it was special.
From that first pilot?
Yes.
Wow.
Because I'll tell you the truth. Like, I took the pilot home, and the when they wake up, Meredith and Derek wake up on the floor, and they're so beautiful. They're so beautiful, those two, right? And I was like, holy cow. And then the next scene was like Dr. Bailey going, looking at the interns like, I already hate you. That whole thing.
Yes.
And then I just said the writing was amazing. The people, beautiful. The acting, superb. I watched the pilot, and then I went back to after the interview, and I said, yes, absolutely yes. Like, where do I sign? And I did. I didn't do the pilot, but I did the second episode on. And it was such a family, that show, and the amazing actor. So I know a lot of people might not know this, but Dr. Karev, we brought him on like the second, or not the second episode, but the third episode. We had to do some reshoots and incorporate him into the show. Got it. Because he was cast after. Okay. So we did all that, Sandra, Justin, Ellen, Chandra. I mean, gold. Yeah. Freaking gold. And I was so happy, like, I ain't quitting this. I'm going.
And did it, though, that grind, though, did that hit you? Because you had a 3-year-old at home. Did that start to become, was that hard at all?
Let's talk about the grind.
Yeah.
So back then, Peter Horton had done he shot the pilot. Okay. The way that he shot, we did 15-hour days, 17-hour day. Like, the bomb episode was like, the hours were insane. Yeah. The hours were like, can they legally do this?
They still could back then.
Can they do this? Yeah. And I remember like sometimes going, it is 4:00 in the morning.
I need to get home.
I need to get home because I got a soccer tournament. The sun is coming up right now. Yeah. It was just so crazy. But that was like the first season, right? The first season was a grind. First season. Second season was pretty much a grind too. But then the second season was like a phenomenon. Like, of course, we have to keep this formula because it's working. Clearly it's working. And we just went with it. We knew the crew. We knew what we had to do. There was nobody complaining like until like I think season like 4 or 5, like as it started to get more and more and people started to get tired. But we knew what we had to do and we did it.
You knew you were creating something special, it sounds like.
We created something special. Wow. Right? Because like after like we got picked up, it was crazy. It was like the show was like a mega hit. I think the actors like re-upped or redid their contracts.
Yeah.
It was just like, it took off like a rocket.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I remember it was everywhere all at once. And like you said, TV wasn't as popular. Like there were TV shows and you knew what they were, but that just, I mean.
And except for ER, because ER, you know, was like a phenomenon too.
Yep.
But it different because
Completely
ER
different.
didn't have that quirky comedy, you know, the dramedy, I guess what they, like some of the writing on Grey's was just like hilarious. But at the same time, I just lost my father. How can you be laughing right now?
Yeah.
But people were laughing.
Yeah.
And they made it work. And it was just, the writing was like insane. Like,
So, I mean, I think Shonda talks about that. It's so character-driven writing. Like, it really is about, whereas if you really put ER and Grey's Anatomy side by side, ER was really about the emergency room and bringing people in. And I'm pretty sure Grey's didn't even have an ER, right? For the first couple seasons? At least that's what I remember Linda telling me something about, like, I had to convince them to put the ER, like the trauma bay in because they didn't want to have, like, the emergency rooms.
yeah.
It was once people are going into surgery and once people are in
No,
the
and I think
hospital
where we
room.
used to shoot out in North Hills at the VA hospital.
Yes,
And
I've
so,
heard that.
yeah. And so maybe a couple times it would be like they're bringing them in on a stretcher, but we couldn't really like do a lot of exterior things out there.
Because it was location.
Yeah, because it was a location. So we kind of incorporated that ER later
Element
on.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so fascinating. God, just to think. I mean, when you think about that, Nicole, are you just like, oh my God, I was a part of that?
Yeah. I know.
It's crazy.
It was truly like a family, like because we spent so much time there.
Yeah.
I have tons of people sleeping
Pictures?
on set. Like, so of course I had to be, you know, paying attention when the cameras rolled, but this was an opportunity when the cameras rolled for other people to be like, I'm going to get like 5 minutes of sleep right now. If
During
I
this
can't
take.
close my eyes.
But you can't do that.
I can't do that.
Script
So,
supervisors, it shouldn't be a joke either, but the running joke I feel like is usually like, did the script supervisor go to the restroom? Because
that's tough.
you guys can't, essentially your job, like I said, it's that piece that if you remove, everything tumbles. Script supervisors, when they leave set, like you can't film a scene. If actors want to run lines with the scripts or they're not there, like if the director or somebody has questions or the camera or we're putting in a new roll of film or we're on a new slate or whatever, like nothing can happen without the script supervisor.
It can.
What can happen
but
with
generally, like you'd be putting yourself at a disadvantage if you're rolling without the script supervisor. But sometimes you didn't know if the script supervisor wasn't there because a lot of script supervisors now on a set, now it's completely like isolated. Like I see the DIT tent, the DIT tent, it's called the DIT.
Yeah.
But it's like the director of photography is in there with the
That's right. You were telling me this now.
and then the
that's different.
director's in a tent with the script supervisor. But sometimes I like to be on set
as a
with
script
the
supervisor.
actors, as a director.
As a director. I was going to
So
say.
now
and
the
what-
script supervisor's over there by herself.
Yep.
And they could hear everything. They all have like headphones and you could still communicate with them and say, you could hear the director say, you know, I like this take or that take. And they're listening, so they write it down.
Yeah.
Back then, like you mentioned, putting on a new film roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, back then it was like reloading and things like that. And then, so we would we would take time, stretch our legs, go to craft service,
Go to the bathroom.
Yeah, in between setups.
Got it. And but now the setups are like this, so it's not film.
I know.
It moves so fast. And there's 3 cameras. So the script supervisors now, I mean, the industry has changed from doing film 1 camera to doing it's digital 3 cameras.
Yeah, it moves really fast.
I don't know how one script supervisor keeps track of 3 cameras at all times and does what they do. And that's why there's this running joke of like, did you go to the bathroom yet? And you're asking script supervisors because it really is a thankless job in a lot of ways because no one really talks about script supervisors unless you're in the industry. And it's so pivotal. On that note, we're taking an intermission. We've had the appetizer, but the main course is about to get even juicier. And it drops in 48 hours. Trust me, it's going to be absolutely delicious.